Good morning, Dawgpound South campers. This is the Cleveland Browns Dawgpound South podcast, part of the Fanatical L's Network, part of the Fans First Sports Network. I'm your host, Steve Gill. Well, rookies reported this week, and of course, we have to wait till Tuesday for the veterans to report, and then the media will be let in on next Wednesday. So right now, the only thing you're getting is videos from the team and their promotions department, who famously brought you a helmet reveal where a photographer fell off in Lake Erie, and the photographer fell off in Lake Erie, and then last couple of years of some very strange schedule release videos. Very, very weird. The one 2 years ago with the elf and it's just weird. So I'm taking any videos I see on social media with a grain of salt because they are being produced by the Browns. You're not going to get real media coverage, if you really want to call it that, until the first practice, which will be Wednesday after the veterans report. So right now you're getting nothing, basically. Just what the team wants you to see. So I've just been looking for something to talk about. There are things that catch my interest that I find interesting and very odd. Some stuff that most people would think are kind of silly or non-football related, but because the Green Bay Packers are publicly owned. They're the only NFL team publicly owned. God, I wish the Browns team was publicly owned. I think we would have taken care of a few things prior to this season. But they are the only publicly owned teams. Therefore, their financial records are public records. So you can really get inside what a team makes by looking at the Green Bay Packers financials, and a website called Awful Announcing, which I'm liking more and more every day. They got a hold of Green Bay's financial records, and it's very interesting. They went from non-operating income last year of 1.9 million to 133.6 million. Now, the reason this happened is because the NFL sold off the NFL Network, Red Zone, which I love. If I can find it for free anywhere on the internet and the Browns are playing, I'm watching Red Zone because it is fantastic. It really is good. And some fantasy football platforms for, get this, $3 billion. So 1/32 of that is 133.6 million. So every team got that money because they split everything 32 ways. So the Browns got $133.6 million because of the sale of those entities. Which is interesting, is the Packers were headed for their first loss. And I find this mind-boggling that an NFL team can lose money that isn't owned by Art Modell, because he lost money continuously. That's why we had to borrow from the NFL, and then he had to sell to pay off the NFL. I think it was $17 million he borrowed from the NFL after the Baltimore move. But anyway, this would have been their first season they had a loss since 1989. But because of that big deal by the NFL to sell off these entities, they don't have a loss. I just find that interesting that, God, I just wish the Browns were publicly owned. I really do. The Green Bay Packers have to report this stuff to their shareholders, which are the fans. I wish all NFL teams would do this, but they're never going to do this because they're owned by billionaires, and billionaires don't care what you think. So I just found that interesting. Another thing I found interesting, I was just perusing, looking for anything, anything I could talk about. I found I found somebody wrote about the Browns record. I can't remember who. I give them credit. And they were talking about how the national media looks at the Browns as a dysfunctional franchise, and they're always the butt of jokes and everything. But if you look at their record, so I'm not going to count the All-American Football Conference record. The NFL finally has recognized it, but I'm only going to stick from 1950 when they joined the NFL. From 1950 to 1980, the Browns have a record of 263, 146, and 9. That's a 64% winning percentage. They won from that period, 30 years, almost two-thirds of their games. I know a lot of young fans out there can't think about that because they've seen the product that sucks, an occasional winning season every once in a while. But think about that. For a 30-year period, the Browns won 2/3 of their games. And, you can point to a bunch of different things, but when the move happened, when that disgusting person, Art Modell, moved the Browns to Baltimore, from 1950 to that point, the Browns were 448, 329, and 10. Well over 500. Again, this is a franchise that the media they basically call them losers. And, we've seen the product recently, but moving up to that point, they were a well-established winning franchise. Now, let's go to now. Going into the 2026 season. From 1950, they've won 560 games, lost 557 games, and had 14 ties. 3 games above 500. I'm totally shocked they're still above 500. To be honest with you, when I read this, I thought, wow, they're still 3 games above 500 after all the crap we've seen since 1999. And that shows you how bad it was that the NFL treated the Cleveland Browns in 1999 when they brought them back. They didn't do them any help in the expansion draft. They realized their mistakes with Carolina and Jacksonville, who became immediately competitive after about a year or so. So they decided to take it out on the Cleveland Browns, and the expansion draft was a joke. You got to remember their first 2 years, 1999 and 2000, when they came back, they didn't have a bye week. Their bye week was the last bye week of the season. Was the last week of the season. Can you imagine 16 straight games without a bye week? That's what the NFL thought about the Cleveland Browns. But like I said, they're making money. Those billionaires are making money. So let's take a quick break. All right, we're back. I want to thank you for joining me today. As you see scrolling below me, HemisphereCoffeeRoasters.com. They shake the hands of the farmer. And Sherry's Licorice, Sherry'sLicorice.com. We are setting up a way to save you money with promotional codes on both products. And we'll be giving away stuff during the season. Love free stuff. So go to the websites, order coffee, order licorice, order both. I love coffee, and damn, I love her licorice. And her licorice is good, and the coffee is good as well. So take advantage of this stuff. All right, finally, one of my big bugaboos when I watch the Cleveland Browns or any NFL team or any football team. Two things: penalties and special teams. I am just, if a team is penalized a lot, that is on the coaches. And that inevitably got Kevin Stefanski fired. We all know it. Pre-snap penalties. And it's nothing new. It even happened before Stefanski got here. In 2019, when Todd Monken was the offensive coordinator and Freddie Kitchen was the head coach, they were top 5 in penalties. The Browns were. So that will get a coach fired. And you go back and look at Deshaun Watson's last season, and there were times, there was the Oakland game immediately comes to mind. He threw a long touchdown pass, scored a touchdown, boom, they call it back. It's late in the game, it's fourth quarter. They call it back because Nick Harris got called for holding. You look at it again in the replay, and even one of the announcers, the former NFL offensive lineman, says that's not holding. But that's what happens when you have a bad team. Good teams also commit penalties, but they're not called. You know what I mean. Browns fans know what I mean. Pre-snap penalties was the death of this team and ultimately got Kevin Stefanski fired. I truly believe that. That and his stubbornness with special teams. Special teams, his first year, they were average. And they went downhill, even after he changed. They went downhill every year. Special teams would drive me crazy. They lost the Jets game because of it. Block punt against the first Ravens game. It was close. It was very close going into the fourth quarter. Block punt, gates wide open. Ravens scored 14 points in the fourth quarter, game over. Special teams. Chris Easterling of the Beacon Journal wrote an article this weekend about special teams. And of course, I'm a fanatic about special teams. So I read it, and it basically reads, if you don't have a subscription, that the Browns special teams are going to be boring. I'm all for that. I want them to be boring. I don't want anybody talking about special teams as the season goes. Just no comments. Talk about the offense, talk about the defense. I want a boring special teams. He points out that Andrew Smith, after a terrible first game against Cincinnati, a game they could have won if he hit an extra point and a field goal, the Browns could have started 1-0. But then he came back. He beat the Packers with a last-minute field goal in an incredible game that just was non-existent until late in the fourth quarter. And also the last game of the season, last-minute field goal, beat the Bengals. So he turned his season around. Everybody wanted him fired after that first game, wanted him cut, get rid of him. But he turned it around. He had a great season. Corey Bojorquez, not his best year. Probably his worst season as a punter last year. It was bad, but they kept him. They want stability. The long snapper, Rex Sonahara, he received all pro votes, not Pro Bowl votes. Those, they go play tiddlywinks in Hawaii or wherever they go, Florida. All pro votes. So they have decided to keep him across the board. Schmidt had a good season after a bad game. Corey Bojorquez had his worst season ever. Great long snapper. Fine. What they need to do is make sure, and I got a feeling the return team is going to be better because they have KC Concepcion and they're trying Dylan Sampson out on returns. I'm good with both of them. My big thing is coverage. I want to see this new special teams coach next week when they practice, and they will practice special teams, and I want to hear from the local media. I want to know if they're going to get better on return coverage, because we all remember the Jets game. 2 returns for touchdowns in 38 seconds. And they lost by 7. I mean, Dylan Gabriel had one of his best games. I know a lot of people don't want to recognize that because everybody remembers moments and not full games, but he did have one of his best games. Wasn't a ton of yardage, 160 at 7 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He did get sacked a lot, but then again, that was the theme of the 2025 Cleveland Browns, sacks. So I want to see a boring special teams. That would make me so happy. I don't want to talk about penalties during this season, and I don't want to talk about special teams. So let's hope Corey Bojorquez has a bounce back, because when they first got him his first year, he was really, really good. He could pin teams down deep, and then there wasn't a return. See, that's the way this works. I hate the new kickoff rules. They're dumb. It's like in baseball when you go in extra innings and the team starts with a guy on second base. That's stupid. So all I want is a boring special teams. Now, I don't know how the quarterback situation is going to pan out until they get in practice. As you all know, I am not a Deshaun Watson fan. I want him off this team, and the best time to do it is next year. So I don't want to see him taking snaps for the Cleveland Browns. I already saw this movie in 2024. He was terrible. All right. Now, I can't see him getting any better in 2 years when he's been hurt. So I'm rooting for anybody but Deshaun Watson. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Sanders. I don't care if it's Dylan Gabriel. I don't care. I know it's probably not going to be Taylor Green because he's a rookie, but wouldn't that be interesting? So as we wait to see actual media coverage of practices, and you fans go on the 31st, next Friday, to the first open practice, let's just hope that Todd Monken, sorry, I got to start pronouncing his name right. Todd Monken finds his quarterback. I know I've seen his offense. We all saw it in 2019, even though Freddie was an idiot. The offense wasn't bad. I mean, Nick Chubb finished second in the league in rushing. Both OBJ and Landry had over 1,000 yards receiving. I think Baker Mayfield had 3,600 yards passing, 38. I can't remember, but he had a good year too. So that's what I'm hoping for. Offensive resurgence. That would make this team bearable to watch. Because let's face facts, the last couple of years, well, after Watson got hurt and Flacco came in, and even PJ Walker, DTR and PJ Walker, and all those guys came in and played very well and got them to the playoffs, even though they got hosed by Houston. But that's what I want. I want to see a good defense, which I don't think it's going to fall off any. I think the offense can be better, and I want a boring special teams. And I don't think our new head coach is going to put up with stupid pre-snap penalties. All right? So thank you for joining me today. I hope you all have a good day here in Nashville. I usually get up at 6 a.m., and at 6:20, it was already 78 degrees. It's 80 now and feels like 88 at 9:25 Central Time. It already feels like 88 degrees outside. It is just humid. I hate heat, humidity. I just can't take it. But anyway, thank you for joining me here on the Cleveland Browns Dawgpound South podcast. I'm your host, Steve Gill. I am part of the Fanatical L's Network, which is part of the Fans First Sports Network. Thank you for watching, listening, following, and subscribing. And Raul has been putting some comments. Basically, he asks, how long does Barry last before he gets fired? Barry's had 2 very successful drafts. I don't think he has a thing to worry about. He's found his groove. He's finally found his groove. And I have faith in Andrew Barry getting talent. Like if a lot of you know, ESPN did a ranking of teams with under 25-year-old players on their roster. The Browns came in 4th, and they didn't even count Quinshon Judkins. I don't know. But again, thank you for joining me today. This has been the Cleveland Browns Dawgpound podcast, part of the Fanatical House Network, part of the Fans First Sports Network. And as always, go Browns.